Greetings. Hey, welcome to a joint venture episode. That's right. This is the Extreme Ag Cutting the Curve podcast. Also, double teaming with the Do Business Better podcast. That's right. That is my podcast, which is geared to small biz, aspiring entrepreneurs, self-employed, and small business owners. So we're doing a joint venture because this is a business topic that we're going to combine with my man, Kelly Garrett, who is the owner and operator of Garrett Land and Cattle Company in Western Iowa. We're going to be talking about business and success traits, and that is why this is such a great episode, because it's all about the person and the personality behind the business. And we're going to be sharing this, as I said, with my other podcast, which is geared to small business and business owners and entrepreneurs. So with that in mind, this joint venture, the first joint venture you've been a part of, Kelly Garrett, here with Extreme Ag. Real quickly, what's Extreme Ag to my listeners?
Extreme Ag is a group of 6 high-yield farmers from across the United States that came together and formed this website to help farmers improve their ROI. Basically, we can lessen their learning curve.
Okay, and that's what we seek to do on the Do Business Better podcast. As I always say, I bring on guests that have been there and done that, people that run their own business, that have made the mistakes, that have been through the trials and the tribulations, and have also, enjoyed the success. And it's about idea sharing and about practices. So what we're doing today is we're talking about the person, the personality. In my book, Do Business Better, I map out what I say are the 4 traits of entrepreneurial success. If you are going to be self-employed, if you're going to work in the gig economy successfully, or if you're going to have a company with 10, 20, 200 employees, I believe you have to have the moxie. I believe you have to have the character traits. And I say that the character traits of success are risk tolerance, drive, resilience, and vision. Is there anything I'm missing when I name those 4 traits?
Communication.
Oh, that's a good one. All right. So we're going to cover all 5 of those. Let's start with the one that you named, then we're going to go back to my 4. Communication is the one I did not name. Tell me about communication. By the way, we should note, you do have employees.
I have about 24, 25 employees.
Okay. So this is an operation with a lot of moving parts. Right. And go ahead and real quickly tell them what you have going on here at Garrett Land and Cattle.
We farm about 7,000 acres in western Iowa. We have a 450 cow calf herd, and we have a trucking company that, we have about 30 trucks on the road.
Okay. So you've got some things going on. Communication. Talk to me.
Communication, the people talk about, well, everybody's on their phone today. Well, my phone is my most important tool on the whole farm because I can communicate with my employees, be it like this time of year, they're in a sprayer. Mm-hmm. We just got done combining wheat. I've got trucks hauling distillers grain to the port. I've got trucks hauling plant food and soap for feed energy. You need to communicate with them to make it seamless.
Also, beyond that, you've got a lot of vendors. Just since I've been here, you've got people stomping in you buy stuff off of. Pretty important to communicate with them.
Absolutely. They were here today to settle up on the new grain cart.
Well, more than that, I think that I've found that a lot of my transactions, which go smoothly, are because there was a very good and clear line of communication. So I gotta admit, you're pretty smart about pulling that out. Is it really a trait, though?
I think it's a trait because it's kind of a God-given talent. I feel that my biggest strength is as a communicator. I've got 3 sons, and my youngest son communicates at a very high level. Now, as far as getting grades, academic grades in school, he got the worst grades of the 3, but he communicates at such a high level. He can bullshit his way through
it. Well, maybe it's not just bullshitting. Communication and bullshit are probably 2 different things. So I think you might be right there. People say, oh, Damian, you've got the gift of gab. Oh, you're a great speaker. I'm like, well, yeah, there is something to that, but also some of that can be learned. A person's a poor communicator. What sort of things do you see? Because I can name some, but you're the star here. What sort of things do you see? How does it hurt their business?
Well, they don't want to reach out to others. They can just kind of be shy, and they are uncomfortable with new people. They're uncomfortable approaching someone, and they're just quiet, and they don't share everything that they can do, or they don't ask they don't ask what another can do, and things fall through the cracks.
I think that employing people is one of the hardest things for somebody like me to do. I've got the curse of the self-employed, if you will, and communication. I'm pretty good about saying this, and this, but what I always forget is that they need told what to do. After you do this, then this, then this. I always assume that they're going to see the end result, but I'm probably too optimistic.
I have some employees that have been with me for a long time. You give them the big picture, they know everything that needs to be done. I don't need to hold their hand. I tell them I don't want to hold their hand. I don't want to micromanage. Take care of it. I have other employees that haven't been around as long. They don't want to put quite the commitment into things that some of the longer term ones have. And, that might be a trucker, and he's going to make his load for the day and he's going to go home.
All right. So that's an employee-based thing. Let's talk about how you communicate. Do you communicate differently with the person that has been there that I assume there's some of these people you can just say, hey, that needs done, and that's all you have to say?
That's absolutely correct.
And then the other ones?
The other ones you have to say, go haul this load, and you give them a list of things, and they need to be told what to do.
Do you have people under you that help then communicate? Because 25 people, you got a lot going on. You've got a bunch of different irons in the fire, different business ventures, things like Extreme Ag, trucking company, the cattle, another new venture you're starting here and there with some product distribution. You can't be the person that does all the directing.
I have a group of 6 or 7 employees, and I call them SEAL Team 6 because they can accomplish whatever we need to accomplish. And they will help me communicate to the employees that would be below them, and so I don't have to handle every little thing.
What about my 4 character traits that I started out with? You agree with that? Do you need those 4? Do you need risk tolerance, drive, resilience, vision? You added a 5th. I appreciate that. Let's talk about those 4. Which one's the most important?
To be self-employed and to have an operation the size that we do, I'm looking at the list there, I would say vision and resilience are the top 2.
All right, vision. Since you said that, why is that important? So the person listening to this, they are a business person. They own their own operation. Specifically on the Extreme Ag, they own their own farming and business operations. Some of my suburban friends are always marveling when they talk to me when I say, I know you got $1 million home over there. Do you realize I have friends that live down the road here that have that much of capital at play every day on these farming operations? So, what you're looking at is how you can deploy that capital and create something, and that is vision. Tell me about your thoughts on vision.
So the reason I kind of tied vision and resilience together is because, if using KSX Transportation as an example, when I started that and the value I could see in the plant food, it was a lot of work at first because it was a new product. It was strange. People didn't know if they wanted to use it. We're going forward. I was doing all the dispatching of the trucks myself. My one friend, he said, you're going to kill yourself working this many hours. And I said, well, it's busy right now, but I have a vision to where I can see that it will get to, and I had to have the resilience to stick with it to fulfill that vision.
Yeah, I'd say that's an accurate thing, that the entrepreneurial mind, all of us can work. If you've got your own business, you could probably work 20-hour days. You just could. There's always some work you could be doing.
We never run out of something to do.
Yeah, so that's fine, but you also know you're going to have a heart attack and die if you do that. The vision part of it is always, okay, this day I do have to put in a huge day, but I know that a month from now I won't have to. I think that there's the vision part of that. If I just do this now, it'll be flowing smoothly, and then I can be a bit more relaxed on this thing.
Again, when we started KSX, I was very much in control. I had my finger on the pulse, and now I have 2 employees, 2 minority partners in that business, Mike and Jocelyn, and they handle it. And I would say from a KSX perspective, my life is pretty easy. I don't have to do all the day-to-day stuff because they take care of it. But I had to get it set up. I had to mold it in the image, in the vision I saw, and then turn it over to them.
So you've used the trucking company as an example of vision, that you saw an opportunity, you saw a lot of demand, you saw unfulfilled demand, you saw a company that you could build that would be a thriving business because of that. Is there any other example where you saw something where others didn't?
Extreme Ag and bringing the products here to Western Iowa that have been underutilized, and that's why we started Integrated Ag. I saw an opportunity here to bring these crop health, plant health, foliar fertilizers, PGRs, things like that. A lot of people here don't know what those products are. A year ago, I didn't know what those products were. And this is a niche market that we can help fulfill and expand on.
Resilience was the one that you recognized as the second one. I believe that is the most important, but like everybody, I think the one thing that of the four probably identifies me is the one I think is most important. It tends to be if you were a baseball player, what's more important, hitting, speed, or great defense with your mitt? Whatever thing you were best at is the one that you think is most important, right? You would say.
We always think that what comes easy to us is the most important because it's what we enjoy doing.
Yeah, right. So which one was yours, by the way?
Drive.
I meant on your baseball, but okay. Resilience for me. My wife said something very complimentary. She said, after we go through all this COVID stuff, she says, Damian, you know what? They'll knock you down, but they'll never knock you out. And she's like Marvel. She's like, when I met you, you were 2 years into a comedy career, and I couldn't believe how you built it. And then when that went to shit and you had to rebuild the next thing and then reinvent the next thing, she's like, they'll never knock you out, will they? I said, no, that's where I'm going to go. Resilience is me. I can keep getting up off that mat. Until you absolutely kill me, I'm going to keep getting off that mat. So I think it's resilience because I think that there's so many changes in business and the marketplace and the customer base and what is coming at you from a regulatory standpoint or a government standpoint or what's now allowed, not allowed, all that stuff. That's where I say it's resilience. Your thoughts on being resilient?
Well, you talked about regulatory from the government. Whether we have a Republican or a Democrat in the president in the White House, pardon me, there's going to be opportunities depending on how that political landscape shapes, and you just have to have the resilience to see those opportunities and don't get so caught up in if we're going left or we're going right. Mm-hmm. Opportunities will present themselves. Have the resilience, the patience, and the vision to go take care of that. Don't worry about all the other noise.
All right, you just said patience. Is that a trait that should be a trait of success?
I think patience and resilience are very close.
I'm not sure I'd put the two in the same category because I'm very resilient, but I am the most impatient human you'll probably ever meet. In fact, I'm annoyed right now just because. So I'm very extremely impatient. Drive. You mentioned it. That's your thing. But we all know everybody can work hard. I think drive is a big one, but also it's not just work hard, it's work smart. Your thoughts on drive, working hard, working smart?
My dad has said before that when he was in his 20s and 30s, if you just worked hard, you were going to be successful farming. But the margins are slimmer now, and we can't just work hard. We have to work smart. We have to be progressive, and we have to be innovative to be successful and expand. So I would agree 100%.
My brother, the farmer who's no longer with us, when people would pop off about me, farm guys, well, you aren't like a farmer, you don't work, and he would actually defend me and say, work is work. The guy gets on airplanes 200 days a year and created his own business. Work is work. I've shoveled shit. Trust me, I can do that. I can sling bales of hay around, not as many as I used to. But work is work, and I think it's important in any enterprise. Let's say you run a landscaping business. Some days the more profitable work you do is at your desk putting together bids versus being on the end of a shovel. Some days in farming, the more important work you do is at that desk looking at your inputs and understanding your input costs. Your thoughts on different types of work.
A person that lacks vision will be one that thinks that work is something that is shoveling shit, is physical work. And that is also important. But they think that is more important than the work at the desk. And when you get paid for what you know instead of what you do, mm-hmm. you're successful. Yeah. And if you're highly successful, you can do both.
Yeah, I think that's something that my blue-collar background, I get it. I want to do the physical labor. I enjoy doing physical labor, actually, but I've learned in the last 15, 20 years, first off, I can't do it as aggressively as probably I did as a younger man, but also it's not where the return on investment is. No. It's much smarter. My wife said that years ago. She came out when we had our little beef operation. She says, what do you do? I said, cleaning out pens. She says, you have a conference call with a paying client that client will pay you more just this month than this beef operation will make us this year. So where is it smarter to be? Cleaning the steer pens or be at your desk?
I think the highly successful person does both.
Yeah, right. So you get one done and say, I got to get in there. Risk tolerance. You didn't even bring it up. It's I think it's the lead off in my book. I said it's the most important thing. I led off. I said, if you can't sleep at night not knowing whether you're going to have a paycheck in 3 months for sure, you probably better stick with a normal job. Better stick with a government job in terms of that.
So you said resilience was your number one because that's what you're best at. I would tell you you've never met anybody with more gamble. So that's probably what I'm best at. So I didn't bring it up because I don't know exactly what to say because it comes easy to me.
So you could have $1 million on the line and it's not gonna get in your head.
Not anymore.
So what about the person that's starting out? What do they need to know if they're always the kind of person that's risk averse? What can they do to minimize that? Because I think that if you're going to be in business by yourself, you better have a stomach for it, because otherwise you're going to end up with an ulcer and you're going to have high blood pressure and you're going to just be a disaster.
You're going to limit your success if you never want to take a risk. And what I have found is when I would deep dive into a subject and look at it, and then I'd be like, really, what risk are we taking here? And everybody, I shouldn't say things like everybody because that's not correct, but so often I will see people, if they try something new on their farm, it's a black and white situation. It's either 100 or nothing. We're going to invest $10,000 into this trial and we're going to see what happens. And they either think, well, it's either successful or it's not. It's never a best case scenario and it's never a worst case scenario. And again, you shouldn't use words like never.
Yeah.
But the truth is going to be somewhere in the middle. So are you really risking that $1 million? Are you really risking that 10,000? You're not. Most of the times you're not. And just quit thinking of it in terms of absolutes.
Yeah.
And then the risk tolerance goes down.
Yeah. You're meaning that it's generally unlikely if you put $100,000 into something that you're going to lose the entire $100,000. It sometimes might be, okay, it didn't quite pan out. I came out of it just a little less than break even. Is that what you're thinking?
Exactly. You invest $100,000 into something and you're hoping to turn it into $200,000, but it doesn't go as planned, but you didn't lose it all. You lost $10,000. You've still got 90. So stop thinking in absolutes.
All right. We're talking about, if you've somehow forgotten, this is Kelly Garrett, one of the founders of Extreme Ag, extremeag.farm. If you're an agricultural person, check it out. I'm now creating content for them, helping them roll out their own podcast and video and other content that is going to be great for progressive, forward-thinking farm operators that want to learn from others that have been there and done that, like Kelly and his other 5 founding members. Also, we're doing this as a joint venture with my own Do Business Better podcast. And if you're an entrepreneur, you can learn a lot from other entrepreneurs, be they farmers or landscapers or dry cleaner owners or anywhere in between. Talked about the 4 traits of success. You added a 5th, communication. I like it. Now give me a trait that is something that is within you. Just like you say you got the risk tolerance, and I say I got the resilience. I'm the youngest of 9 kids. I got no problem standing toe to toe with you. I'm resilient, but I also have to manage my negative traits. You have any negative traits?
My temper.
You and I both have the same negative trait that we have to rein in. It can be sometimes not our friend.
That's right.
Because I think that sometimes drive and your personality makeup also goes hand in hand with being hot-headed. Now, there's others that try and tell me, oh, you don't have to be hot-headed to be successful. I said, I never said that. I just tell you that it's all part of my same mix-up.
That's right. You know, in the trucking industry, sometimes it feels that a truck pulls into a plant and those people there have a superiority complex and they just think they can make you wait as long as you want to wait, and they will not reciprocate the respect and communication that they want you to give. Mm-hmm. And I will tell people, the guy on this end of the phone is not that guy. And I tell my employees, I will run through a brick wall for you, and I need you to run through one for me. And by and large, they do. So if we're at a plant and one of my truckers is being disrespected, pushed around, made to wait, I will be on the phone, and it will be very clear what the expectations are.
That's not bad. That's not quite as hot tempered as maybe things could be. So that's the trait you have to manage is that. Any other ones?
I can become impatient.
Impatience and hot tempered. I got that. My other one is I can go negative. And with some seasonal depression, you give me a gray, cloudy, cold spell for a month. And then a few bad things happen because everybody is in business. You'll have good days and you'll have bad days. Give me a couple of bad business days on top of a month of cold and gray. I can get pretty dark. And that's where then you realize it's time to go to the tanning bed. And people laugh at it. I'm like, Lori's like, no, Damian needs to go to the tanning bed until we can get to Arizona. He needs to go in there and lay in there every day for a couple of weeks because he's in a bad way.
You need some vitamin D.
Yes. Well, chocolate milk every day, vitamin D. You have anything else you got to manage?
I would say that as we grow and expand and I get older and I don't do all the day-to-day stuff, because my sons are there or Richie's there, something like that, there will be times that I want to get in a rush and I don't want to check all the boxes. I don't want to do all the details. So I have to make myself slow down, not go 100 miles an hour. I've got to make myself slow down and check all the boxes, do all the due diligence, and not skip something.
But managing others for their character traits, it seems to be a hard thing for me to do because we tend to not only understand our own strengths, we also sometimes don't do a good job of recognizing in others. Like, okay, I've been with my wife 25 years, and then I've gotten a lot better about managing around what her character traits are versus my character traits, and it wasn't that way 25 years ago.
I would say I try to put my employees in a position to succeed, and I always say that my number one goal in life is to have fun, and I want them to have fun at work. It's still a job, but if you're doing something you enjoy, it's really not like work, and the day passes faster, and I really want to put them at a job or at a task that they enjoy. And if you don't enjoy turning wrenches, there's no reason to come in the shop and work on a truck. And if you don't enjoy running the combine, let's have you do something else. And because the day goes faster, you are happier. And that is my philosophy on that is I want them to be happy and I want them to put them in a job that they enjoy.
So was that a learning thing? Because at first you probably thought, you know what, this is what I hired you to do. Go do it. And then it dawns on you that wasn't the right way to go about this.
That's exactly right. And it goes back to the old adage, you catch a lot more flies with honey than you do with vinegar.
Closing thoughts on character traits, managing your own, maximizing your own, and managing others. What do you got for me?
I try not to be emotional. I try to make logical, reasonable decisions because then I can go to my employees in a logical, reasonable manner, and you'll get a lot farther.
Is that a character trait, remaining unemotional?
I try to make it one, but I have to work at it.
His name's Kelly Garrett. My name's Damian Mason. You've been listening to a joint episode between Extreme Ag and Do Business Better. You know what? If you want to improve your business game, check out my book, Do Business Better, or you can even check out my podcast, Do Business Better. You can go to DamianMason.com and find that. You can go to the Damian Mason channel on YouTube and just subscribe to the Damian Mason channel and find that also. Likewise, you go to extremeag.farm and see all this wonderful, and it's going to be soon to be curated content that we're putting together to help you on your farming enterprise. Remember, it's an agricultural business that you run. It might be a farm and it might be a lifestyle, but it is, after all, at the end of the day, a business.
That's right.
Till next time, he's Kelly Garrett. I'm Damian Mason.
Thank you.